strong enough to bear the burdens that sometimes come living this thing called life. Am I wise enough to make the right decisions when I'm standing at the fork in the road? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. Will I have enough to do the things I need to do to take care of myself? Will I have the health of mind and body to live a life of grace and wholeness? Sometimes I wonder and ponder, only to realize I'm not alone and there's nothing I have to do on my own, because I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place where God lives, moves and breathes and has its being. I am the place where God shows up. I am the place. I am the place where God lives. You are the place. Moves and breathes and has its being. We are the place where God shows up. I am the place. I am the place where God. You are the place. We are the place.
I am the place where God lives. Good morning and welcome. My name is Reverend Darlene Strickland, and I'm the senior minister here at Unity of the Blue Ridge, and I'd like to welcome you. We light this candle that really represents and reminds us that each and every one of us are a flame, an expression, if you will, of the one light, wherever you are and whoever you are. We always like to begin our time together just connecting in consciousness and intention. Richard Schulman is here with me on piano today. Acel is on video, T is on sound, and so we all want to welcome you as we join together in an opening prayer. We greet this day in the spirit of awe, A-W-E. We open in awareness to the truth of who we are as an expression of all that is. Today we explore what it means to have a full cup, to come from a state of fullness, of wholeness. And so we open our hearts, and as we join in this time together, that we may be blessed in order to be a greater blessing. And for this sacred opportunity, this holy encounter, we are truly grateful. And so in the name and in the nature of all that is, and all that is holy, we give thanks. Amen. Again, I'd like to welcome you this morning. Today we're going to be talking about how full is your cup. You know, I imagine you're feeling it. I sure am. Our world is tense. It's very polarized. There's a lot of things that are new and unknown, and things that feel very fragile. In many ways, systems are fragile. People feel fragile. And someone reached out to me last week and they said, I feel like I wound up on the struggle bus and I can't get off. And they said, and the struggle bus is full, I'm telling you. And so I've been thinking about that and how when you may be feeling like that to some degree or another, how do we keep our cup full? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. But to kick that off from a previous Sunday service when we were gathering, Cat Williams and our Unity Band are going to perform a song by Stevie Wonder, Love's in Need of Love Today.
Good morning or evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have some serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean a world's disaster. Could change your joy to laughter, to tears, to pain and no. Let me say that love's in need of love today. Oh, don't delay, send your love right away. I say hate's gone around and it's breaking hearts. Oh, stop it, please, before it's gone way too far. The force of evil plans, I'll make you its possession. And it will not let me destroy everybody. We all must take our time, oh, precautionary measures. If love and please you treasure, then you'll hear me when I say, 'cause I believe that love in need of love today. Oh, don't delay, hate is gonna stay right away. Talking about that hate's gone around, breaking many hearts. Oh, so please stop it before it goes way too far, yeah. Take it way too far, yeah.
Love's in need of love today. I love that line. We all must take precautionary measures if love and peace you treasure. Thank you, Richard. Thanks to Kat and our band from that time and allowing us to enjoy it again. So again, today we want to talk about, the precautionary measures to keep our cup full so that we're in touch with our own innate sense of fullness and that we have something to give. My mom used to say, if you don't have anything to give, you don't have anything to give. So how do we keep our cups full? As I was thinking about it this week, I thought about how many of you have ever run out of gas? Anybody ever run out of gas? All the hands in here are up. How many of you have ran out of gas more than once? Half of us have. How many more than twice? Oh my God. Okay, we'll stop counting. They have. Who waits until the gas light comes on to put gas in your car? I personally know someone. Who stops to fill up when you're about a quarter of a tank? That's how I tend to be. And then there are some people that anytime, hey, it's less than half full, if you see a station, they may stop. Well, I ran out of gas one time many years ago when I was young, and that was before the light came on and your gas light and said you needed it. Back then there was this thing that just sort of would float back and forth, and you had to gauge if you had enough gas left. And one time, many years ago, I ran out, and I never made that mistake since. However, I have coasted into the gas station on fumes, so to speak, more than once, and that's too close for comfort for me. Well, just like our automobile needs gas to run, and we can't just put it in once and then it runs forever. If we expect to get anywhere, we have to keep refueling. Likewise, our devices, the many devices that use some sort of battery, our devices cannot run if the battery has no energy to give. We have to keep the battery charged. We know you are much more precious and valuable than any automobile or any device. But like those, you too need energy, a continual source of energy to be able to do what we need to do. It's also why when you're on an airplane and they instruct you, flight attendant says, in the event that the cabin should lose oxygen, the mask will deploy, and put your own oxygen mask on first before assisting others. And that's for obvious reasons, that if you run out of oxygen, you're going to pass out. You're not going to be around to help anyone. So taking measures, especially in this time when, as the person that called me this week and said, I feel like I'm on a struggle bus, they also went on to say, I feel like I'm on the struggle bus and can't seem to get off, and I feel like I'm locked in an episode of Groundhog Day, that it's one long continual day that's just going on and on. And so they were really struggling. So in that, you may be doing great today, I may be doing great today, but we all have moments and times, days, weeks, perhaps 2020, struggle. And so remembering those foundational things, that we must keep our cup full. We must keep fuel in our being so that we have that sense of fullness. We are in touch with our own sense and spirit of wholeness. And we have something and a place of fullness from which to give. There's a passage of Scripture, it's a story that's found in the Gospel of Matthew that really speaks to this. Now in Unity, when we're looking at the Bible, or the Bible in particular, there are many sacred texts that Unity would draw from, but the Bible in particular, if you really look at it, especially the New Testament, is a journey from Adam consciousness, or the whole Bible, from Adam consciousness of being outside and separate to Christ consciousness, being at one. And the stories tell us things about our state of being and our consciousness and who we are as part of our spiritual evolving. And so in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, there's a story that Jesus is told to have referred to, and it's a story of 10 bridesmaids. And as the story is about being prepared, because as the story goes, of the 10, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. Now, what made these 5 wise, it said that their lamps were filled with oil and their wicks were trimmed and ready to burn. The 5 that were foolish, it said their wicks had not been trimmed and they didn't have any oil. They were hoping to borrow some. And the point of the story is that in order to be ready, in order to greet each day, in order to do what is yours to do, we need a sense of being filled up, to having a fullness of our wholeness. Oil is representative of spirit, of being full. And then trimming the wick, you know, I'm sure all of you have probably experienced if you have a candle or if you have a lantern, and the wick, if you use it once and use it twice and never trim it, it gets smutty, and it just, after a while, it doesn't even really burn well. It just smokes up everything. Well, the wick is symbolic of the residue of what has already come, what has already been, that to make peace with that, to let that go, that's an essential part, equally as important as being full, having your cup full, having your lantern, if you will, your lamp full. Because the gospel also says that we're like a light, that we're a vessel, and that a sanctuary, a temple, the Spirit of God resides within us. So what it means for you, and what it feels like for you, to have your cup full, to have something to draw on, to have something to give. And it's really important to know when you're depleted. You know, it's admirable to desire to help others. I believe it's what we're called to do. It's admirable for us to want to create a better world. I also believe that's what we're called to do. However, if helping others and creating a better world seems at odds with taking care of oneself, then something's out of balance. You can't leave you empty continually and ever really be able to help. That it's not selfish, it's not a luxury, it is essential. That's why the scriptures say that as we love the God of our being, our source, as we love our neighbor as ourself, that the three work together. You honestly really can't have the fullness of any one without the experience of all of those. So begin to notice when you are depleted, when you are running on empty. As human beings, we're made to need to recharge. If you don't know when you're running on empty, I suggest you just ask someone close to you. My partner will point out to me, she'll say, you're starting to get hangry. And I do. If I'm tired and I'm hungry, it's not a good combination for me. I start going down fast. So I have to pay attention. And also if I'm worn thin, my mom used to say to, my sister and I are just 18 months apart, and my mom used to say, I have one nerve left and you two are dancing all over it. She'd say, Mama needs a minute, or Mama needs a break. And we understood what that meant. So beginning to recognize within yourself, when is the world dancing all over that one nerve? When are you absolutely depleted? And it's not admirable to keep pushing when it's empty. That's as ridiculous as thinking that your car is going to drive on empty. It's just not. So to realize that now, perhaps as never before, finding ways to keep our cups full. There's many ways to do that, and how we each do that is very unique. I have a friend that every day runs 6 miles on a treadmill, on purpose, I might add. That's how she keeps her cup full. You know, that doesn't work for me. But I like this. You know, yesterday I came to the church and I pulled a few flowers from here. I pulled the rest of them from my yard. I love gardening. There's many things that I can do. It's up to us to know what fills our cup. And again, I just really want to reiterate that this is one of the most spiritual things you can do. You know, there's that saying, hurt people hurt people. And healed people are helping heal people. And it's because you only have to give what you have to give. And so taking inventory and finding out, how am I coping? How am I doing? What do I need? Well, I want to look at 4 things that I believe can help anyone. And then, of course, finding how to make this uniquely work for you and finding those exceptional things that work for you. But these 4 things are unplug, laugh, give thanks, on purpose. So the first one, unplug. You may not be aware of it, but every first Friday in March, there's a holiday called the National Day of Unplugging. And it is based on the Jewish or the Hebrew concept of Sabbath. And I meant to ask Richard how to pronounce this, but the Hebrew verb Sabbat, S-A-B-A-T, Shabbat, S-A-B-A-T, Shabbat. Sabbath comes from the Hebrew verb Shabbat, which means to stop, to cease, to rest, to keep. Now, I grew up, and you may have grown up, definitely for me, Sunday was the Sabbath. For some, Saturday's the Sabbath. But I thought about the Sabbath as a day, and sometimes it is associated with the seventh, with a day. But really, Sabbath is a verb. It's the activity of rest. And what we are meant to keep holy is not any particular day, but rather to carve out a day or to carve out space regularly where we rest and where we cease and where we remember that which is our true nature. It's about unplugging. Oftentimes Jesus talked about that he would come apart for a while. And I like to jokingly say, if I don't come apart, I do start to come apart, because we need to unplug from the world, unplug so that the natural presence of life, we begin to be present to that again. There's a story about when Christian missionaries were going into Africa. They had guides and busmen that were leading them and helping carry the equipment, and these missionaries were on a mission. They were going to save people, important stuff. And so day 1, they're pushing as hard as they can. Day 2, they're pushing as hard as they can. Day 3, they get up and they can't find their guides or the busmen, and they look and they're all under a tree. And they told the translator, we got to go. We have work to do. We got to go. And they would not move. And when the translator said, what is wrong? They said, the pace has caused us to lose contact with our soul. And we must rest so that our body can be united with our soul. And I love that story, that it's that's why there is a Sabbath, a Shabbat. That's why we need to unplug. So, how do you need to unplug? And do you have some feelings of guilt around unplugging? Do you dismiss it and say, nah, I don't need to do that? Just be aware of that. But how could you unplug in such a way that it would bless you to become a greater blessing? Unplug. Number 2 is laugh. There's a saying that she who laughs lasts. That proverb says, a merry heart does good like medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones. Maya Angelou said, I don't trust anyone who doesn't laugh. I love to laugh. Now, I have to admit, when I go back and watch myself on these talks and I hear myself laugh, I'm always like, oh my God, I have such a weird laugh. But hey, I enjoy laughing, and I love to laugh until there's that belly laugh, tears, because it's very, very healing. So what do you do that helps you laugh, that helps you engage with that fun sense of life? A couple of weeks ago, we just wrapped up a 3-week series, and then last week I wasn't able to be there, but extended into a 4th week. But we were talking about anti-racism and being that bridge. And Coach Wanda Marie LaPointe was joining in on helping facilitate this call. And some of the people were sharing, and we were talking about, having difficult conversations with family members and neighbors and people about these, topics that are also sometimes divisive and hard to talk about. And Coach Wanda Marie said, sometimes we just need to lighten up. And I just felt like, boom, she dropped a pearl of wisdom, that to lighten up, to take it more lightly, to bring your sense of humor is one of the greatest things, that when we're laughing together, we're healing together. So unplug, and then laughter. Find ways and things that you enjoy. This week, there was something that literally made me laugh out loud, and I took a copy of the article. It says, as theme parks reopen in Japan, one new rule has visitors thrown for a loop: no screaming on roller coasters. It may seem like an odd request when riders are going up and down and upside down and sideways at high speeds, but intense vocal expressions may produce droplets that could spread the coronavirus. So Japanese theme parks developed the rule so that they could reopen with precautions after closing during the pandemic. This was in the Wall Street Journal on Wednesday. So they said 2 executives from the Fuji-Q Highland Amusement Park appear in a 4-minute video in which they ride the Fujiyama roller coaster in complete silence. And at the end it says, please scream inside your heart. And when I read that, I had to laugh. And so it's finding those things that make you laugh, and visualizing a roller coaster in Japan full of people trying to scream inside their heart. That did it for me this week. That made me laugh. So may you find things and ways to unplug and laugh. The third is gratitude. So again, unplug, laugh, be grateful. Listen to the very word full. The scriptures talk about we enter into the courts, also consciousness, an elevated sense of consciousness with praise and thanksgiving. Gratitude is the recognition of the blessings, the gifts of life. To recognize is to be full with the fullness of life. Nothing will rob you of your energy like complaining and being ungrateful. Nothing will rob you of your energy right now of like being on social media. I have to balance it out. I really want to be informed and know what's going on, but I have to look at cat and dog videos enough to just balance it out, lighten it up some. So gratitude. I have always thought about in Unity, the co-founder, Charles Fillmore, at the age of 93 years old, he was expressing his gratitude by saying, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. That he was grateful for that. When I was a minister at Unity of Maui, it's a small church on High Street, and it gets hot in Hawaii, but if you're in the shade, it makes a world of difference. And so the church administrator, Tricia, and I we'd be at the church office, and we would both seek to park under the shade. Well, it didn't take long at all. I noticed that, when you park under trees and you park under shade, I could come out and my car was covered with bird, And every afternoon when Tricia and I would walk out together, she would just be singing and happy, and she just seemed happy by it. And one day I asked her, I said, so this doesn't bug you, huh? The birds pooping on our car. And Tricia just smiled and said, I just give thanks that birds are in the trees and not cows. and I thought, okay, that I can live with that. And from that day forward, I was grateful, And so it's about, there's plenty of ways to find gratitude. And it's not at the expense of being present. But here's the critical point. We cannot be present and have the wherewithal to do what is ours to do unless our cup is full. Unplug, laugh, enjoy, and gratitude. I remember as a kid on Sundays, I grew up in the Pentecostal church, and we had church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night, and then lots of revivals where we went every night. We went to church a lot, and so every Sunday morning, every Sunday night. But my parents, Sunday, they both worked, And this was when I was younger, before my brother was born. It was just my sister and I. And Sunday was our day as a family, in particular, because they weren't being present to the normal activities of life. And quite often, when the weather was permissible, we'd have Sunday lunch and rest a few minutes, but then we'd go out and we'd play badminton in the yard. To this day, I love badminton. Never playing hard, but we would count how many times could we keep it going. And we laughed as a family, played together as a family. Those things filled our cup. They made us more kind toward one another. They put us in a spirit of, when we came back that night, there was a glow, and we had fun together. And it's much easier. That's why people who first fall in love, nothing's ever wrong, everything's okay, because they're so filled with bliss. And again, this is not at the expense of pretending things are not happening that are bad things, because bad things are happening. But if we get so narrow and so focused and so caught up, we wind up channeling that energy. So we unplug, we laugh, we give thanks on purpose. I think Howard Thurman, the theologian and philosopher, perhaps said it best when he said, "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go and do that, because the world needs people who come alive." Sometimes it almost seems contrary, but what can fill your cup is really connecting with a sense of purpose and with your passion, the things that you love. Just like I said, Mondays are my day off, and I work in the yard almost all day Monday, and I love it. I'm exhausted at the end of that day, but it's my passion. I love it. That staying connected to that passion. Richard, would you give me that song? In my first ministry in Lawrence, Kansas, the congregation was growing. It was very active, doing a lot of things. And one day I had a lady that asked me to call her, and she was quite a bit older, up in years. And when I talked to her on the phone, she was really struggling. She was on that struggle bus. And she said, the church is growing and so many people are doing stuff. And she said, I just feel left out. She said, my health won't allow me to do most things. I'm on a fixed income. I can only support, I don't even feel really good about that contribution. And she said, I honestly just feel like I have nothing to give anymore. And it broke my heart hearing that. But I somewhat understood what she was saying. And so I asked her, I said, is there anything that you do that's just a normal part of your life where you just feel at peace, in the zone? And she thought a minute, and she said, well, yeah. She said, I like to knit and I like to crochet. And she said, and when I'm doing those things, it's like I don't even think about time. I don't really think about anything. She said, I really am just happy. And I said, well, consider this, that when you are in that vibrational state of being at peace and being happy, you are anchoring that. You are being that in this world. You are on purpose. That's your passion. And she lit up a bit. And I said, what if this week when you try the knitting and the crocheting, what if occasionally you just notice how you feel and just send some out to whoever may need? You don't have to know who, just send it out. And she said, I can do that. And so we agreed to check in a couple of weeks. And so I called her back in a couple of weeks, and she sounded a little bit better. And she said, you know what, I've been doing that, and actually I feel a little more energized. It gives me a sense of I'm doing something. And then she called me the next week, and she said, I've been continuing to do that, and I really feel good, and I had an idea. She said, I am doing this so much, I'm just crocheting and knitting all kinds of stuff. She said, what about if I start making some shawls and we maybe give them to people? Well, it was the start of that ministry's prayer shawl ministry. And I could tell you so many stories of how that blessed people, including me. When I left that ministry, they made a beautiful rainbow prayer shawl ministry and prayed over it and wrapped me in it. And it just made me realize and remember that when we're on purpose, it's not comparing my purpose and my passion to this person's or that person's, but ask yourself what makes you come alive and go and do that, because the world needs people who have come alive. You know, our cups need to be filled. And so we unplug, we empty, we laugh, enjoy. We give thanks on purpose. Because the truth of the matter is, we're always about enlarging our sense of being. Because very much like the Hindu parable of the Zen master who had a young apprentice who was struggling with the bitterness of life. And the Zen master took the young man and said, take some salt and put it in your cup and add water and taste of it. And he did. And he said, how does it taste? And he spit it out and he said, it's bitter. Salt in this cup of water is bitter. And then the Zen master said, walk with me to the river's edge, and now take another handful of salt and toss it into the river, and now take a cup. How does it taste? And he said, it's refreshing. And he said, son, the bitterness of life is like salt. It's nothing more, it's nothing less. But the amount of bitterness that we taste and embody depends on the container we put it in. The greatest thing you can do in this life is to enlarge your sense of being. Stop being the glass and become the river. To really be connected with your purpose is to expand beyond the glass, to be more than the person who is knitting, and now to become at one with the flow of life. That will fill your cup. The Unity minister and writer and great teacher Eric Butterworth said, I am human in expression. I am divine in creation, and I am limitless in potentiality. To fill our cup is to remember that. I am human in expression. I am divine in my creation. I am limitless in potential. I am free to be fully human in expression, wholly divine in my creation, limitless in my potential. I am free to be human in expression, divine in creation, limitless in potential. I am free to be. As we turn our awareness within, we just unplug and enter into that place of emptiness, stillness, the silence, Shabbat. Because there is no such thing as no thing, but there is pure presence. To become empty, to unplug, is to allow all that one has collected to settle as dust, so that the presence of your own spirit would naturally come to the forefront of your awareness. We spend time to become empty, to rest, to Sabbath. And in this, the very activity of life becomes more palpable, more noticeable. It's no longer way in the background. We realize that it's the very activity of life existing in and through and as us. We become intentional about seeking out those things and those people that fill our hearts with joy and laughter. And every day, attuning in gratitude that in the midst of everything, there is the capacity to be grateful. And to realize that when we're on purpose, we're in passion. And that our sense of small cup or empty cup or limitedness begins to be transformed. The lines of our being become less solid. And we know what it is to be that vessel, to be the channel where the activity of Spirit is moving through us. And that is healing, that is restorative, that is filling. May we be attuned to the Spirit. May we be mindfully present to care for our own being. To be gentle with ourselves, to take care, and to know that this whole Holy Spirit of life will lift us. For we are human in expression. We are divine in creation. We are limitless in our potential. We are free to be fully human in expression. Holy divine in our creation. Limitless in potential, we are free to be. Play it, Richard. You're human in expression, divine in creation, limitless in potentiality. Richard Schulman, that was beautiful. Thank you. I want to thank you for joining us. And I want to just remind you, if you're here locally around the Blue Ridge Mountains, you may want to drive by. Raise the Roof is underway. There's a lot going on. And we are very excited. The first Sunday in August, we are planning to have 2 services outside. It's a bring your own lawn chair. So bring your own chair, bring your own mask, spread out, social distance. The whole service will be outside, one at 9:15 a.m. and one at 7 p.m. We're hoping to start before it gets too hot, and then a little bit after it's not quite as hot at 7 p.m. So, and then hopefully that will allow more people to attend. So we're going to give that. We're going to try that together the first Sunday in August, the first Sunday in August. So not next Sunday, but one more Sunday. We will still be live streaming at 11 o'clock, so no worries. We certainly know that not everyone will be able to attend, but I'm certainly personally looking forward to that. There's other classes, activities, things going on, so just check into our website. We have a weekly e-newsletter that goes out. You can give us an email or a phone call. We'll make sure that you're on that list. I also want to thank you for your ongoing support, your love offerings, the financial gifts that are allowing us to keep things going, and we really appreciate that. So as we close today, we have another exciting video for you from our board president, Ellen Winter, with her 3 famous donkeys, and then we're going to wrap it up with a song by Sister Rosetta, that is performed by Cat Williams in our band. Have a wonderful week.
Well, the donkeys. Hi, Ellen Winter here today with the donkeys again, and they have been enjoying the wide open skies here with the Neowise comet. So today we're reading from the Wisdom of Donkeys about the night sky. And if we look up at the stars, at the heavens in this living planetarium, we can glimpse 2 donkeys eating out of a manger, beginning to sparkle as a star cluster, Acellus borealis and Acellus australis, whose Latin names mean northern donkey and southern donkey. They're almost 200 light years away, shining at a magnitude of 4.2 in the constellation Cancer the Crab. Legend has it that the donkeys twinkling in the constellation of Cancer were immortalized by Dionysus, the Greek god of wine, in appreciation for warding off the giants. He and the god of fire, Hephaestus, were riding into battle against the giants, sitting on their donkeys. Soon their mounts began to bray, the giants never hearing the like before and thinking a terrible monster was about to be unleashed, bade a hasty retreat. Thus Dionysus put the donkeys in the sky, either side of a cluster of stars the Greeks called Phacne, the manger, from which the 2 donkeys can find permanent feed, ultimate donkey paradise. Dionysus affirms the life force, implies fecundity and spiritual illumination, divine power, and mystical ecstasy. Hope you find mystical ecstasy this week and enjoy the comet Neowise, unless you plan to wait another 6,800 years to see it again.
Up above my head, music everywhere. Up above my head, music everywhere. Up above my head, oh, music everywhere. And I truly believe there's a heaven out there. Oh, in my house, music everywhere. Oh, in my house, music everywhere. Oh, in my house, music everywhere. And I truly believe there's a soul out there. Down a hell